In 1901, divers descended into the dark waters off a Greek island and pulled corroded bronze from a 2,000-year-old shipwreck. What they recovered looked like nothing, formless, destroyed. Then someone noticed teeth cut into the metal. Gears. Dozens of precision-engineered gears, designed to predict eclipses, track lunar cycles, and map the heavens with an accuracy that wouldn't be seen again for over 1,000 years. This was an ancient machine built to forecast the future, and no one can fully explain how it exists. Salt stung the eyes of the sponge divers as they surfaced, hands raw from gripping barnacled stone and ancient metal. The year was 1900. Off the jagged cliffs of Antikythera, the Aegean wind battered the deck of the Sophia as battered fragments began to pile up, marble torsos, shattered amphorae, a lead ring still slick with the memory of the deep. Among them, a heavy corroded mass of bronze, rough as volcanic rock, thudded onto the planks. The logbook entry for April 8th, written in hurried Greek script, listed it as a bronze lump, size of a small cannon. Lieutenant Konstantinos Mantsaris, the Navy officer overseeing the salvage, ordered the cargo sealed and escorted to Piraeus. The Sophia's hull creaked as it carried its strange burden to Athens. On arrival, naval technicians weighed the lead salvage ring, 12 kilograms, copper traces glinting in the lab's gaslight. The ring's composition would later date the ship to the late 1st century BC, but at that moment, the focus was on the spectacle of the haul. Newspaper headlines in Athens called it a shipwreck full of treasures. At the National Archaeological Museum, a parade of artifacts began to fill the workshop. Curators in linen coats unwrapped each piece, brushing away salt and centuries of silt. The bronze mass received the catalog number BM 1900-01. Museum conservators, led by Dimitrios Kaligas, started the delicate process of cleaning. Acid baths and careful scraping revealed faint lines, almost like a screw thread, running beneath the corrosion. Ioannis Korkoulis, the museum's photographer, captured the first image of the object, its jagged surface lying beside a marble arm, both silent witnesses to a vanished world. The plate was filed under Ancient Technological Artifacts, a label that would soon feel almost comically understated. The days blurred into weeks. On May 25th, the last cargo pull brought up a bronze armrest, later matched to a marble throne. By October, the museum's storerooms held nearly 70 objects from the wreck: statues, coins, glass, and that enigmatic bronze core. The fragments were inventoried, weighed, and stored, but the mechanism itself sat in a sand-filled crate, its purpose unreadable. Only a handful of museum staff handled it. Among them Valerio Stace, who would later write of his first encounter, the cold shock of metal under his fingertips, the sense that something extraordinary lay hidden beneath layers of decay. Official records from this period are still preserved: Salvage Log A, the handwritten inventory, and the earliest black and white photographs. These documents trace the journey of the mechanism from seabed to museum, each entry a small act of faith that the object was worth saving. No one yet suspected what secrets the corroded gears would reveal, or how this battered relic would soon upend everything historians thought they knew about ancient science. In the quiet of the museum, a mystery was waiting, its answer locked inside a tangle of bronze teeth and forgotten time. In the quiet halls of the National Archaeological Museum, the bronze fragments sat mostly ignored, cataloged alongside broken statues and battered coins. For years, scholars walked past the corroded gears, their meaning lost beneath centuries of oxidation. Then, in the mid-20th century, a British physicist and historian named Derek de Solla Price began to study the mechanism in earnest. Price was not just another academic, he was a man drawn to riddles, a collector of anomalies that history could not explain away. When he first examined the Antikythera fragments, he saw something that no one else dared to imagine, a machine whose sophistication seemed to leap across centuries. Price's landmark monograph, Gears from the Greeks, published in 1974, sent a shockwave through the world of science history. His analysis revealed that the mechanism contained over 30 interlocking gears, each cut with a precision that rivaled the finest 14th century astronomical clocks. The teeth were spaced so evenly, so minutely, that Price compared their tolerances to those found in 14th century astronomical clocks, yet the Antikythera device predated those European marvels by more than 1,000 years. This was not a simple sundial or a decorative trinket. It was, Price argued, a true analog computer, built to predict the cycles of the heavens. The implications unsettled the foundations of classical scholarship. For generations, the accepted timeline placed the birth of complex gearing and mechanical calculation in the late Middle Ages. The Antikythera Mechanism shattered that narrative. Here was evidence of an ancient Greek workshop capable of engineering feats that should have been impossible for its time. The gap between this battered relic and the next known example of such technology was not decades, but centuries. Price's meticulous diagrams and gear ratio calculations forced historians to confront a new possibility that the ancients possessed knowledge and skills that had been lost, forgotten, or deliberately erased. The academic world struggled to absorb the blow. Some dismissed the mechanism as a one-off, a freak artifact produced by an unknown genius. Others wondered if it was the tip of a vanished tradition, a hint that the ancient world was far more technologically advanced than anyone had dared to believe. Price's work did more than catalog a strange machine. It challenged the very idea of progress as a steady climb. If such a device could be built in the Hellenistic world, what else had been possible, and what else had been lost? Even now, the Antikythera Mechanism stands as a rebuke to easy assumptions about the past. Its gears, silent and corroded, raise a question that refuses to go away. How did the knowledge to build such a thing appear, only to vanish for a millennium? And if the past can surprise us so completely, what other mysteries are still waiting just beneath the surface of history? A crank turns. Beneath ancient bronze, a hidden choreography begins. 30 interlocking gears, cut with a precision that would not be seen again for over 1,000 years, transmit force from one axis to another. The Antikythera Mechanism is not a clock. It does not measure time. It predicts it, calculates it, and displays the secret rhythms of the cosmos. The front of the device holds a dial inscribed with the Greek zodiac and the Egyptian calendar. As the main axle rotates, a pointer sweeps across a ring divided into 365 days, marking the progress of the solar year. But the true genius lies in the secondary trains, compound gears that transform a single steady turn into the maddening complexity of the heavens. Turn the crank once, and the metonic dial advances. This 19-year cycle, known since the time of Meton of Athens, reconciles the lunar months with the solar year. The mechanism achieves this with a gear train whose ratio of 53 to 38 matches the calculation 19 solar years equal 235 lunar months. Each month, the pointer moves along a spiral, passing engraved names of months in ancient Greek. The user can see, at a glance, which month and year it is in a cycle that governs festivals, harvests, and the timing of the Olympic Games. On the back, the Saros dial winds in a tight spiral with 223 notches, each marking a lunar month. This cycle is the heartbeat of eclipses. Every 223 months, the Sun, Earth, and Moon return to nearly the same positions, making an eclipse possible. The mechanism's gears, including a wheel with 223 teeth, drive a pointer that tracks this cycle with uncanny accuracy. Small inscribed glyphs warn of possible solar or lunar eclipses, transforming abstract mathematics into a tool for prediction and awe. The machine does not simply count days. A pin and slot mechanism, a tiny cam shaped with mathematical care, simulates the moon's irregular speed as it swings through its elliptical orbit. The pointer speeds up and slows down, echoing the real motion of the moon against the stars, an effect that would not be replicated in Western Europe until the age of mechanical clocks. Greek inscriptions, faint but legible under modern imaging, label each dial. Metonic, Saros, Games. The device does not ask its user to calculate. It shows. A turn of the crank brings the heavens into view, revealing eclipses, lunations, and the passage of years as mechanical certainty. The evidence is overwhelming. Modern CT scans have identified the gear ratio, the tooth counts, the layout of each spiral. The 19-year Metonic cycle and the 223-month Saros cycle are not guesses, they are built into the bronze itself, cut by hand, measured to tolerances finer than a human hair. Even the pin and slot cam, a hallmark of advanced engineering, survives in fragmentary form, its function confirmed by simulation and replica. Yet for all this precision, questions multiply. Who designed a machine that could predict the future of the sky? How did ancient hands cut teeth so fine, arrange ratios so exact, and translate the mathematics of the cosmos into metal? The Antikythera Mechanism stands as both an answer and a challenge, a physical proof that the ancients could build machines that modern eyes struggle to comprehend. But such mastery does not arise in a vacuum. To understand how this device came to be, we must look beyond the gears, into the world that imagined them. What kind of culture could conceive of such a machine, and why would its secrets vanish for centuries? The next turn of the story lies not in metal, but in the minds that shaped it. On the bustling streets of Rhodes and Alexandria, the clang of bronze echoed from open workshops, mingling with the murmur of philosophers in shaded porticos. This was the Hellenistic world, a crossroads where mathematics, astronomy, and hands-on craft met under the gaze of kings and scholars. It's here, in the centuries before the Antikythera Mechanism slipped beneath the waves, that an unlikely alliance between intellect and artisan skill took root. Bronze smiths hunched over forges, filing teeth into gear blanks with copper tools so fine that modern microscopy measures their pitch error at less than 0.2 of a millimeter. These were not simple laborers. Many belonged to guilds or family dynasties, their names lost, but their methods preserved in the metal. The same hands that cast statues for temples could cut gears for water clocks and automata. In Rhodes, the city's famed School of Technology produced not just naval engineers, but craftsmen versed in the geometry of circles, the ratios of planetary motion, and the secrets of alloys that could withstand decades of use. Patronage fueled this engine of innovation. Wealthy rulers, the Ptolemies in Alexandria and the Rhodian League, commissioned devices to predict eclipses, measure time for festivals, and display the order of the cosmos in public squares. The Library of Alexandria, a library and beacon for scholars like Hipparchus and Eratosthenes, held scrolls on trigonometry, planetary theory, and mechanical design. The texts of Archimedes described spheres that mimicked the heavens, while Hero of Alexandria detailed automata powered by hidden gears and water pressure. These were not just theoretical exercises. They were blueprints for real machines, built by real hands. Evidence survives in the mathematical treatises of the period. Hipparchus's tables of chords, an early form of trigonometry, allowed precise calculation of celestial cycles, knowledge later found inscribed on the dials of the Antikythera Mechanism. Vitruvius, writing in the 1st century BCE, described water clocks with toothed wheels and escapements, mechanisms that required the same precision found in the Antikythera gears. Even Cicero, in his account of Archimedes' planetarium, marveled at a device that could predict the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, turning with a gear-like motion. Workshops were not isolated from the world of ideas. Philosophers debated the nature of the cosmos just steps from the forges. The Stoics taught that the universe moved according to rational laws, a cosmic machine whose workings could, in principle, be understood and modeled. This belief drove the translation of mathematical cycles into metal and motion. The Antikythera Mechanism stands as the most spectacular survivor of this tradition, a product of minds who saw no boundary between theory and craft, who believed that the secrets of the heavens could be made tangible, even portable. Yet such mastery depended on a delicate balance. The expertise to cut gears, the mathematical insight to calculate cycles, the resources to fund years of labor, were all vulnerable to the tides of history. When patronage faltered, when libraries burned, when skilled hands disappeared, the chain connecting knowledge to practice could snap. The Antikythera Mechanism is not an isolated miracle. It is the visible tip of a submerged world, a network of workshops, scholars, and patrons whose collaboration made the impossible real. The question that lingers is not only how such genius arose, but why so little of it survived. In the next turn of the story, the mystery deepens. How did the knowledge to build such machines slip through the cracks of history, leaving only fragments to puzzle the modern world? No other device like the Antikythera Mechanism has ever surfaced from the ancient world. The archaeological record stands silent. No twin, no blueprint, not even a broken gear unearthed from the sands of Alexandria or the workshops of Rhodes. The absence is haunting. Some scholars point to the destruction of libraries, especially the burning of Alexandria, as a wound that bled away the technical manuals and mathematical treatises needed to recreate such machines. Others trace the decline to the collapse of royal patronage. When the Ptolemies and the Rhodian leagues vanished, so did the wealthy commissions that once fueled workshops and paid the salaries of master craftsmen. Without the steady hand of a patron or the shelter of a library, the knowledge to cut teeth so fine, to calculate cycles so exact, could slip away in a single generation. The skills were rarely written down. They moved from master to apprentice, vulnerable to war, fire, or simple neglect. As the Roman world shifted its priorities, the delicate chain connecting theory, craft, and patronage snapped. The Antikythera Mechanism remains a solitary survivor, a whisper from a vanished tradition, surrounded by 1,000 years of silence. The question lingers like a riddle. How could such brilliance appear only to vanish so completely? The mystery now calls for new ways of seeing, new tools to probe what the fragments still conceal. In 2005, inside a Cambridge lab, a battered bronze fragment is placed beneath an industrial CT scanner. Tony Freeth and Mike Edmonds lean in as the machine slices through centuries of corrosion, capturing over 2,500 images, each just 1/10 of a millimeter thick. The screen fills with ghostly outlines, gear teeth, axles, pivots, and Greek inscriptions, all hidden from sight for 2 millennia. For the first time, the Antikythera Mechanism's internal geometry is mapped in 3-dimensional detail. Freeth and Edmonds work through the data, segmenting gears, tracing lost axles, and reconstructing the logic of ancient engineering. Piece by piece, the 3-dimensional model grows, digital fragments merging into a working hypothesis. When the final gear locks into place, the model spins. Dials advance, pointers sweep, and the cycles of the sun and moon play out as they did in antiquity. The first physical replica, built from these scans, turns smoothly. The Metonic dial marks the 19-year lunar cycle, and the Saros spiral predicts eclipses. The mechanism works, not just in theory, but in bronze. The Antikythera Mechanism, once a riddle, now moves with purpose, its ancient science alive again. The mechanism's gears still defy our expectations of the ancient world. As new discoveries force us to revisit what we think we know, the line between lost genius and present progress blurs. Every fragment recovered challenges our sense of modernity. Perhaps the future is not created entirely from new ideas. Perhaps some of humanity's greatest innovations are echoes of knowledge we once already possessed.